Hey guys, and welcome back to the Outlook Industries podcast. It's your guy, Trevor Johnson, back with some fire conversations for you guys. Today I had an awesome guest on, Cody Flom, one of the best scooter riders in the world, if not the best scooter rider in the world. I don't know who's going to argue with me. Super nice kid, really inspirational with his faith, and just how he looks at life is really positive, and I think we could all learn a thing or two from that. So please welcome Cody Flom. And I want to ask you guys a favor before I get into the podcast. I just got on all of your streaming platforms. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on YouTube. Like, if you could go give me a like on the YouTube video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts right now, go down, give me 5 stars. Tell me what you like, what you don't like about the podcast, who you want to see on the podcast. I love all the reviews, so if you could totally do that for me, it would make my day. So yeah, let's get into the podcast with Cody. It was a great one. I'm excited for you to hear this one. Let's get right into it.
It's the Outlook Podcast. We're here at the Outlook Podcast. Just as we're here, we're talking to cool people.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Outlook Industries podcast. I'm here today with a very special guest.
Yo,
how's it going, Cody?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, of course, man. I just wanted to kind of figure out, like, what's your daily routine like? Like, what do you do during, like, what's your typical day?
My typical day varies, definitely. Seeing it as COVID has kind of like taken the world by storm, I haven't really had the opportunity to travel for contests and whatnot. So a lot of times I'm just maintaining my fitness level and also like skill and ability to ride my scooter. So working out, riding, filming for social media content, and also doing some work with Lucky usually is how my day goes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Gotcha. Obviously, faith is a very important thing in your life. Mm-hmm. And I was just wondering how, like, it's helped your scootering and what your personal relationship to God is and how you kind of got that. Because I know a lot of people in our generation kind of have trouble with faith and that kind of stuff. And I was just wondering how your journey kind of was.
Totally, yeah. I think a lot of times people can recall a moment in their life when they had sort of like a revelation of like, the Lord revealed himself to me in this way and I was emotionally taken over. I don't really have anything like that per se, but looking back of all the experiences that I've had in my life, I've just come to find that there's no other explanation for the grace and favor that I've had in my life other than the Lord. And so that affects my everyday life in scootering in that it gives me a purpose to ride for that's bigger than myself, which is really inspiring and encouraging for me.
Awesome. Do you think it helps with like committing to tricks or like having something to look at? Do you ever find yourself when you're riding like kind of almost saying a prayer in your head? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I for the most part am in constant communication with the Lord anyway, because that's just kind of like how I live my life. But yeah, for learning new tricks and whatnot, like I said before, I feel like I'm riding for a purpose that is more than just, you know, that feeling that you get when you land that trick. Of course, everybody seeks that, and that's awesome. But there's even more value added onto that since I know I'm riding for something bigger than me.
Awesome, man. How did you kind of get into scootering then?
I started riding when I was 10. I'm like 20. I'm about to be 21 now in a couple weeks.
Nice.
And really, I just started because it was a common interest my friends and I had. We all rode scooters outside each other's houses. Eventually, we started to go to the skate park, and then, you know, we went from there.
Awesome. So, you've been scootering for like 10, 11 years then?
Yeah, just about.
Here's one that I have that I find kind of interesting, and I don't really know how your take is on it, but I just want to know the story about when you first learned backflips, because I know that's usually like a milestone for people.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was just wondering how your journey with that was.
Totally, yeah. Backies were a bit scary. I mean, they're scary for everyone, for sure. And finding a foam pit in Southern California isn't the easiest thing, and especially when I learned it. So I learned it when I was I think I was 13, so 2013. Woodward wasn't all that friendly to scooters at the moment, and you could go for scooter camps, but that required a lot of money that I didn't necessarily have at the time. So me and some homies found a gym that had a ramp in their gym setup. It was called Twist and You in Lake Elsinore. Yeah, I don't know if that place is still there, like the gymnastics part of it is, but maybe. Anyway, we went to that ramp. I don't even know how we found it or how we got in, but we were there. And the ramp was sketch because it was like a gymnastics place. It was like the transition was fine, but the shape of the ramp was like a vert ramp, and which is terrible for learning a backflip because like you don't know how to push through when you're learning it. So anyway, I'm going up, dropping into the roll in, and then I'm going up into the quarter pipe, and I'm pulling like as hard as I can. And I make it all the way around, which is a big plus, but I straight up landed feeble on the ramp and then thankfully fell into the foam. So it wasn't ideal. Oh, no. It definitely wasn't ideal. I did that like 3 times. I got for sure spooked, but I was like still determined. Right after that, we went to another skate park called Nick Vicker in Lake Elsinore. I've only been in it once. I think they've redone it since.
Really?
And then the time of day that we went, it was a gated skate park. The time of day that we went, the skate park was closed, so we had to hop the fence. So that was an experience in and of itself. I remember my dad was there, and he's like, "I'm not hopping the fence because like he's my dad, and he's older, so he's not gonna do that." And I was like, "Okay." So just me and my homie went in, and I go onto the box jump that they have there. I tried it. And I bailed midair, and I landed like, I didn't go upside down fully. I kind of like twisted out of it, and then I kind of landed on my face, kind of on my stomach. But then I got up, and then I did it like second try. So
the first one's always the worst for sure, especially when learning on like a new ramp. Because that was I just recently learned them after like 7 years or however long I've been riding.
Nice.
But it's the I went to like the sketchiest ramp I could find and just pulled, and I was like, I hope I make it around.
It's definitely a trip the first time.
What was probably the most mentally challenging trick for you then?
Mentally challenging trick, let me think. Probably 540 flare, honestly. Because I learned that trick when I was like 15, I think, and then I did it for like a year and a half, and then I didn't do it for like 2 years because like it's just scary. Because the thing with a 5 flare, it's so much different than a regular flare, because with the regular flare you can bend your knees. With the 5 flare, you're fully penciled out, and sometimes you don't get that rotation fully around. And I remember when I was learning it, I did a 5 flare, or I did a 360 backy, so I under rotated, and then my front wheel hit the ramp, and I just went from the top of the ramp like straight to flat onto my back, and it was just like it was a crappy experience, and it kind of got me spooked.
Yeah, no kidding. That kind of makes me think of your Scoot Fest entry of this last year. That 5 flare bar whip.
Yep. Oh yeah, I learning that trick, dude. That trick was scary too.
That's like a high consequence trick if you screw it up bad.
Definitely.
Wow. Yeah, kind of talk about your Scoot Fest entry and kind of how you went about that, because that's different than most other competitions, so I'm sure it was interesting for you.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I think it was like perfect timing, because there hadn't been the time when Scoot Fest virtual started. I had kind of like been on the verge of like, okay, I need to ride. I haven't ridden all summer. I haven't competed in like a year. I need to do something. I need to put my energy to something. So when that came about, I was like, okay, I'm gonna win this. Like I told Chris, I was like, I'm gonna win this. And so, you know, I went out trying to film some stuff, and it was like over a span of like a week and a half I filmed. And I landed a bunch of tricks that I had, you know, been wanting to for like quite some time. But you know, you have a trick list, but a lot of times you never get around to it because you don't have a reason to really send it.
For sure.
This was the reason, so I'm stoked that it went the way that it did, you know.
So what trick are you the most proud of?
Honestly, probably the 5 flare bar whip. Just because it's the most technical. I mean, doing tricks straight over a box or just straight air, there's much value in that, but in comparison to doing an aerial combo, it's a lot more difficult for sure. And also, like, I had a little bit of a mental block with that trick too, so getting over that was
for sure. What was your ender? What even was that trick?
Back scoot, finger whip to whip front scooter cup.
That's crazy.
Funny thing
I literally...
Yeah.
I was watching it yesterday, and I was like, I've watched this 4 times, and I still have no idea what he's doing.
I tried that trick for the first time in Action Space the year before that, and I got it like 1 foot, but then I just like didn't land it because, again, there was like no reason, so I just didn't get around to it until Scoop Fest.
Yeah. Jeez.
Fun stuff.
No, what all sponsors do you have?
Right now I'm riding for Lucky Scooters. That's my main company sponsor. The Vault Pro Scooters, Action Space, and Stega. Stega is a trampoline scooter company.
Yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Do you have another job, or are you living off of scootering right now?
For the most part, I work as an apprentice, a carpenter apprentice with my dad every now and then.
Okay.
Sometimes when he has jobs, like this past month in March, I worked a lot more than normal because he was building an ADU, which is additional room on a house. So
gotcha.
It's fun learning and framing and doing all that. But for the most part, it's scootering.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How many SIG parts have you had, and what's your favorite, and where do your graphics come from?
Sure, yeah. I've had 3 so far, which has been sick. We did 17 we started, and then I did 2018, and then we skipped 2019, and then we did 2020. All my graphics have been... Hang on, this just stopped. All my graphics have been... with Lucky's graphic designer, which has been really cool.
Yeah.
So I've been able to build relationships with everyone on like the backside of Lucky as well, which has been a real blessing, to be honest. It's a good company.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think each SIG deck has kind of like embodied what my personality was at that time in my life, which has been pretty sick.
Awesome. What is your most recent graphic? What's that about?
So the V3 version was inspired by the 911 Martini Porsche. So it's a racing car. I love Porsches. I love 911 specifically. And I just have always liked that stripe logo look. And so we did our best to kind of emulate that. And I think it turned out quite well. I wanted to go with like a gray base because, to be honest, I see so many white and black, so many black base combo SIG decks. I wanted to kind of mix it up. And also it goes well with tie bars that everybody has in just raw.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. You have a Porsche 911 right now, right?
I don't. So I had a 944, and then I was I had it for 2 years. It was a good car. I love it.
Yeah.
But I sold it because I got into an accident with it, and it was like the same amount of money to repair the body as I paid for it, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna get a 4Runner.
Yeah. So you're driving a 4Runner right now?
Yeah, it's a good car.
What year?
98.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. I want to talk kind of about Conquer.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And how you kind of started that and what that journey has been like.
Totally, yeah. Conquer started kind of like as a brainchild of how can I get the attention off of Cody's name and onto something bigger than myself. The purpose behind the brand is to kind of encourage people to do life and conquer life, the circumstances that come with that, with the Lord Jesus. And I've done, and I've just created, like, on a more practical sense, I've just created merchandise essentially for myself. But instead of having Cody's name, it's got Conquer's name, which is great. And to be honest, it's fun, but I want to do a little bit more than that. So I've kind of been like taking a break with that, just making like shirts and sweaters and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like reevaluating the direction that I want to go with that brand, so that way it can last longer than my relevance in the scootering industry has. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. How did you come up with the logo, and what was that creation process like?
The logo and everything, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think that much about it. I'm not a graphic designer. I got a graphic designer. I said this is what I want the brand to kind of like symbolize. I wanted to have sort of like a strong and a sharp look, and this is what we came up with. And I think it's quite cool too, because like the logo kind of makes it look like wings. You're flying through the sky, through the sky. In action sports, is kind of like got some relatability there.
Yeah, for sure. Did you come across any like problems with creating merch and that kind of stuff while starting it? And how did you overcome that? And what kind of are you looking at for the future too with it?
For merchandise that I have created already, it's been pretty simple, to be honest with you. I haven't wanted to do anything that's like just like super out of the ordinary, like as far as colors go, like at the beginning, kind of just getting my foot in the door. But I want to kind of like shift my focus from like, okay, I'm making merchandise, and now I want to create a product that people actually need within the scootering industry. That's kind of like been the new, thought process in my head for the brand. I don't want to just, say, oh, buy my stuff because I'm Cody. I want to say, no, I want to offer something that's going to actually increase the value of or the quality of your riding.
That's really inspirational, actually, because I like people who are entrepreneurs like yourself, and I just like to learn from kind of your process. So I think that's really interesting, and because I kind of want to do the same thing with Outlook here. I want to start it as a podcast, get kind of these connections and meet some really cool people, and then I want to kind of push towards like a product and something that will be good for the scooter industry later on.
Totally,
Outside of scootering, what are your interests? Like, what do you find yourself doing?
Fitness is like a big part of my life for sure. And also, what's been really cool about this whole coronavirus season has been that I've created like a pretty solid friend group and community here where I live now, because every summer prior to 2020 I had been like on international trips, and so I never really like had friends, and I'm introverted anyway, so like I kind of do things on my own, like that's just kind of like a normal thing, but 2020 was like, it just changed stuff. And so I have like a really solid friend group. I spend a lot of time with people in community and fellowship and that, and also running, lifting, fitness, and every now and again a soccer game here and there.
For sure. That was another question actually I had, was what was, because most people think of coronavirus as like this negative thing that like got in the way of their life, but that's not, like, there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if coronavirus wasn't a thing. So I was just kind of thinking like, what positives came out of Corona for you?
Sure, well, I don't know what I can give full credit to Corona for, but definitely like community was like a big thing, got super close to a lot of people, and also just kind of like reevaluating like, okay, how do I want to go about reaching my goals? What kind of goals do I have? Do I want to like truly stick with scootering? Do I want to win worlds, or do I really care? Because to be honest with you, before Corona, I was kind of like, I don't really know if I even want to do worlds. This has been like the same thing over and over. I'm not really progressing, but going through the season of like not being able to do this thing that I really love doing made me realize how much I want to better myself in the sport.
How many times have you competed in worlds?
Since 2014, so I think 5 or 6. What year are we in? We're in 2020. 2019. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 6 times.
Okay, 6 times. Nice. How has that experience been?
It's been sick. So we did UK for the first year that I went, which I love the UK. The skate parks there are just perfect, and the people there are awesome, and they all speak English, so that helps. But then most every other time had been Barcelona, Spain, which again I love that place too. Honestly, like most of the times that I had gone to Worlds, with the exception of 2018 and 2019, I'd kind of just been going for the sake of traveling because I love to travel. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I never really was like, oh, I want to be number one. I just kind of wanted to soak in these experiences that I was given the opportunity to have. And I think that, you know, I still rode quite well, but I could have been better for sure. And I don't really think that I was ever like better than everybody else to begin with. Like I said before, I think that my life is kind of just marked with grace and favor, and that was just like the Lord saying, like, I'm going to give you these opportunities, you know, go live it up. And I think that I definitely did. So they were overall good experiences, and it increased my love for the sport and for just like different countries and people. Yeah,
for sure. Have you competed in FIs? That's how you pronounce it, right?
Feast, I think. I don't know.
Everybody
says it different.
That's true.
I haven't actually. Funny thing, like with that, I think it's like anybody can compete. It's not invite only. Certain feast contests are invite only, but most of them aren't. And so I just haven't gotten the opportunity or gotten the wits about me, I guess, to work it out. But maybe one day.
I've always wanted to go to either that or to Worlds in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
And then you competed a lot in SD, didn't you, too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And ScooterCon?
So, ScooterCons have been a big part of my life. That was the ScooterCon 8 was the first year that or 7, I think, was the first year that I rode in a professional level, like, competition. And I remember, like, feeling pretty good about myself because I think I ended up in, like, 5th or 4th. And so that was quite fun for sure. That contest has been like a really big part of my life too, because San Diego is only like an hour and a half for me.
Oh, gotcha. Yep. That contest has just been a big part of shaping scootering in general. So I just think that's really cool. Are you looking at, just out of my curiosity, are you looking at going to any of the Woodwards this year?
Yeah, totally. I'm doing West, East, and West and East, because I don't think Hopper's doing it this summer. But also I'm going to Woodward East at the end of this month because they have a scooter spring weekend getaway thing.
Oh,
so that'll be
gotcha.
fun. I'm excited too because I'm going with Chris Ferris. He's like the homie. We're getting on the same flight and gonna film. So I'm excited to get some stuff done. West and East, those are the main two.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
How's your relationship with Chris, actually, because I know you guys are really close. So, like, when did you meet?
Totally, yeah. So, my story of meeting Chris is funny. We met at Woodward, actually. I think I was, like, 16 at the time. But, like, mind you, you think 16, you're probably, like, I probably look 16 to you now. But when I was 16, I looked like I was, like, a 9-year-old. You know, I was, like, very small for my age. And Chris, he's, like, a year and a half or 2 years older than me. At the time, he was, like, in his bulking season. He was, like, a big guy. I weighed, like, 115 and, like, had no muscle. Chris weighed, like, 220 and was, like, all biceps. You know, like, he was huge. But anyway, I was there at Woodward as a guest pro. Chris had broken his collarbone previously before the camp, and they wouldn't refund him, so he just decided to come and hang out as a camper. And my first experience with him, meeting him, was like, "Hey, what's up, kid?" And Chris was like, Chris said he knew me before that, and then he instantly lost so much respect for me because I called him kid. But since then, like, we have a similar way of thinking. You know, it's always a good time riding with him because we can push each other in different areas. Like, I'm really good at overhead tricks. He's not so good at those. He's really good at literally everything, and I'm not so good at literally everything. You know, it's just like
so true. Chris is just like, I'm just good at everything.
Yeah, no, we can push each other in that, and you know, do life like that. It's sick.
Yeah. I think it's really important to find somebody who rides like different than you, because that's kind of what Sam has been for me. I've gotten so much better since I've started riding with him, just because he does completely different things. Like, I wouldn't look at a rail if it wasn't for him. So it's like, it's just been a really cool experience that way. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into working out and fitness and that stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, working out is kind of just like, I'm not
Doing it for any other reason than my mental strength and also my ability, increasing my ability and skill on my scooter. I've had my like seasons of like, because I told you I was like a small guy for my age all throughout high school. I've had my seasons of like thinking, man, I want to put on like 20 pounds or 40 pounds or whatever and get big. But it's not really that. It's not really where I want to spend my time. I work out mainly for mental aspect of things and also just to increase like my core strength because I think that a lot of times that's overlooked. And what's been cool about Corona too, I've been running a lot lately. And I don't like running. Running's like my
it sucks.
Exercise. But it forces you to be patient, which is something that I think is good for me to learn because it transcends over all aspects of my life.
Yeah. Running is such a mental sport that it's super just good for like staying persistent and patience, like you said.
Yeah, totally.
Do you read?
Yeah.
And what's like your favorite book?
My favorite book that I've personally read was called Kingdom Man by Tony Evans. And it basically just goes through the God's design for man in the world that we live in today. And it's a biblical view of a practical way of doing life in the here and now. And it's kind of like been an encouragement for me as far as like how I'm supposed to live life for God's kingdom agenda. But for the most part, like I kind of like read whatever. I'm pretty slow at reading, so I'm not like doing like 10 books a month, maybe like one every 2 months. But I want to keep like the brain moving and kind of like just learn to think for myself more. Yeah,
because I was listening to somebody's podcast. I don't remember which one, but they were talking about if you read like 10 minutes a night, even if you're a really slow reader, you'll finish like 50 books a year or something like that. Some crazy number. And that's kind of, I was just like, oh, okay. So I started reading this 0 to 1 book by Peter Thiel all about startups and starting your own business. And that's been a really cool book. It's just really helped me. I don't know. I don't want to say grow up, but it's like changed my mindset on a lot of things, which has been awesome.
Yeah, that's sick.
What is the most interesting thing that you've learned in this past year about yourself or about just the world in general? Either way.
That's a pretty good question. The most interesting thing I've learned, I guess, like I've known this about myself, but it's definitely been like reinstated into my mind. But that how challenging it is for me, just in my personality and the way that I do life, it is to like love people the way that Jesus loves us, because like I think that life is about people. I know that, and I'm very pragmatic, and I like to do things the way that I like to do things, and I like having a plan and sticking to it, having goals and whatnot. But when you add people into that equation, it kind of shifts everything around and it ruins your plans, and it could like set you back. But yeah, I've kind of had to like kind of remind myself that making those deadlines and those goals and reaching those those whatever goals that you have set for yourself isn't what life is about. So I guess that has been something that I've learned, like, okay, you really need to like work on this and learn how to do life, like more in a community mindset.
What do you want to learn more about?
What do you mean? In what sense?
In any sense?
Really? I mean, to be honest with you, it's been quite cool for me personally working with my dad because I really like the idea of like owning my own house one day and being able to like work on it and do certain things like that, and also to like own multiple houses to where I can make a sort of business or side hustle with that. So learning carpentry has been kind of always exciting for me. Something that I've always been interested in, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. Do you have any investments? Are you in the stock market at all right now?
I've been like playing around. Me and some homies have been like on the Dogecoin like thing. It's been funny because I'm such a skeptic I'll like bash things and I'll say that's so stupid, but then I'll buy it anyway. Because you're only playing around with money that you're willing to lose anyway. But for the most part, I'm not really like banking on anything as far as my holdings go. It's just kind of like something that's
just
fun
mess
to
around
do.
with. Yeah. Here's a weird question, but what are your favorite riding shoes? It's
Riding shoes? Yeah.
no random, but like I was thinking of it the other day. I just ordered some what are these? Some New Balances, and I was like, I have no idea what to get.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, coming from you who's ridden forever, what do you find? What do you ride in?
I'm kind of like a diehard Adidas fan. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I've found that I've ridden with Nikes before, and I've ridden with Vans before. Vans, their soles are too thin. Which I like thin soles, but those are just too thin. At least the ones that I rode in. And then Nike, the shoe is too narrow for my foot. Adidas is kind of like that perfect compromise.
Nice.
It's got a little bit of thickness on the sole, but it's still like a small amount enough to where I can still feel my deck. And then I have enough support on their low tops that like I'm not like worried about like rolling my ankle and stuff like that.
Ankles and stuff. Yeah. Do you ride insoles, or do you just use the insoles that are in the shoes?
Nah, I'm not really. I try to be like as bare minimum as possible.
Yeah, gotcha. Are you working on a video part?
Yeah, I haven't.
Nice.
It's a slow process, but I haven't. I'm like, I think 11 clips deep right now, and I'm kind of like the fun thing with the video part. I'm not by any means a street rider. I don't have any experience with that. I'm full-fledged like park. That's my thing. And so it's obviously park heavy, but I want to incorporate, and I have been incorporating some other like things that have challenged me as far as like hitting rails and doing something bigger on a bigger scoot than mine. So
really,
yeah.
You have another scooter that you're riding in this video part.
Yes.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool to see you kind of branching out a little bit, and I think it's gonna blow a lot of people away. So me and Sam have been speculating that he's working on something. So I'm really excited. When do you think when is your deadline, or do you not even have one?
To be honest, and this is bad, I really haven't given myself a deadline. I filmed I have clips from like last summer that I've just been like sitting on. And I filmed like some more stuff recently. But to be honest, like I can't gauge when I'll have the opportunity to go certain parks I want to film at. And so it's kind of like I just kind of have to leave it up to when I am given opportunities to go and film to take advantage of those.
Gotcha. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I do. I have a older brother and 2 older sisters. My one sister, she lives in Texas. My older brother just moved out. He's just like 20 minutes away. And then me and my sister are at the house with my parents.
Nice. What do they all do? So
my sister's just a stay-at-home wife right now. And then my other sister is a music teacher. She's like in a swing gypsy jazz band. She's super talented. She plays guitar. She sings. She's been about that like her whole life. Like me and scootering is the same as Jazzy. That's her name. And it's pretty awesome to see. Sweet. And then my older brother is an accountant, and he's also in a band called Sunroom, who's they're doing pretty good, and they make sick music. Sweet. Yep.
Have you ever been interested in music, and do you play anything?
No, I can't. I'm musically challenged.
I understand that. Yeah.
But I've been interested in, being good at it, but I'm not good at it. So I'm not interested in it.
It takes so long to get good enough to like be like, okay, I can kind of do it, that you just haven't taken the time. What do your parents do?
My dad's a carpenter, and then my mom homeschooled all of us. So she's just been stay-at-home mom, which is pretty cool, because living in SoCal on one income with 4 kids isn't like ideal. But God's provided. My dad's always had work. We've always had food on the table. There's no complaints.
No, awesome. Do you have a girlfriend?
I do. Yeah, I started. We've been dating for like 5 months, and it's been pretty cool. Me and her have known each other for like ages, like in the church that we go to.
Oh, gotcha.
But like I said, I wasn't really like embedded in my friend group or community that I had anywhere, because I was kind of like just only thinking about scootering. But I'd say like at the start of 2019, we started to become, or 2020, we started to become really close friends. And it was cool because I got to know her before we started dating.
That's perfect. Yeah.
And then, we started doing that. It's been cool.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah. That's the best way to go about it, is if you're friends first. It makes it so much better.
Totally.
Who do you kind of look up to as an idol? And it doesn't even have to be in scootering, just somebody that you look up to.
I just had somebody in my mind. One of my buddies, his name is Ben Corson. I definitely admire him and the way that he goes about his craft. He's a public speaker and also senior pastor at a church up in Oregon. But he's just like always on the grind. And he's very community oriented, which has been really cool. I've gotten to see like his human side as well. So it's not like this facade that he's living per se. It's something that I can relate to in that sense too. And he's just very well spoken and confident. It's pretty cool.
Sweet. Yeah, that's cool. And who do you look up to in scootering? Who's your favorite rider?
Scootering, as far as just like style goes, I'd have to say Morrison, because Dylan Morrison. Because like, dude, the homie can do everything.
Yeah, I know.
It's like honestly pretty impressive. And he rides a scooter like a bike, but he still does things that blows my mind that only scooter riders can do. So I've always kind of liked his style. I feel like I've emulated his when I was younger, like to some degree, and it still kind of inspires me.
Yeah, his flares are the best in the world. Like no cap, like just so big.
Totally.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
10 years. I think that I can't really gauge exactly what that would look like, but if in an ideal sense, I would like to own a house, be married, have a family, and be world champion at some point. And continue to grow in the brand and the business that I'm kind of building here. Because I think that I'm not really, and I know this is very cliche to say, but I don't really want to work for somebody else's dream. I want to live my own dream. So I want to kind of create that in a way that can support me and my future family. Yeah,
awesome. I kind of feel almost exactly the same way. So that's really cool. Did you ever think about going to school?
Yeah, I went to school for like 2 semesters, and it was cool.
Okay, gotcha.
School is not really like the most the best way I think I could be using my time right now, because I have a lot of other opportunities that I've just been given, and I'm just walking through doors. I don't necessarily learn that way anyway. I'm more of like hands-on type of person. And I'm nothing against academia, but honestly, that's just like not how I operate.
It wasn't for you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What did you go for, and where did you go?
Well, I was just doing general ed at LBCC, which is a community college, like literally 15 minutes away.
Okay.
And so, I was doing general ed there. I did some communications classes, and also some like a couple business classes. It was like pretty.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have one last question for you, Cody, and
sure.
What is your meaning of life?
My meaning of life is to honor and glorify the Lord with everything that I do, and it's like this cliche thing to say, and I think it sounds kind of like rehearsed, but it gives my relationship with Jesus gives me a purpose that makes me want to get out of bed in the morning, because a lot of times I've found myself at points in my life where I've like been living for being number one in scootering or on social media or making all the money. That lasts for like, this much time, a very short amount of time, until it kind of just dwindles away. So that has kind of just been the recurring theme, is to live for something bigger than myself, Jesus.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cody, for coming on the podcast today. It was really nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
I hope we can do this again sometime.
Totally. Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you again, Cody, for taking the time out of your day.
Later.